Welcome, fellow enthusiasts. Today we gathered here to gaze upon this swell figure, but before we do so, allow me to paint the picture. The year is 2005. Revenge of the Sith is the highest grossing movie. Doctor Who is back on television after 16 years. Ukraine is in the news. I mean, of course they are. They hosted the Eurovision Song Contest. Our attempts at robotics looked like this, rather than this. The site you are watching this very video on recently just launched, and same as the effects of climate change, the plot of Neon Genesis Evangelion still lies 10 years into the future. It was a time of blissful ignorance. And if you wanted to buy a figure, perhaps from the Oriental corner in your local comic shop, or from a friend who knew a guy that knows a guy who lives in Japan, you either bought red-haired chick or blue-haired chick. Okay, let's be honest, you probably bought them both, because why wouldn't you? The global financial crisis is still 3 years ahead, and it's not that there will ever be a company who launches a series of figures that will drain your wallet for years to come, am I right? But let's be real. Rey and Asuka figures were everywhere in the early to mid 2000s. For the year 2005 alone, my figure collection lists a total of 21 Rey and 18 Asuka pre-painted figures. Man, I'm glad we left those twin figure releases in the past and never fell for a duo of marketable characters ever again. Well, at least the Eva craze died down a bit. Last year, for example, only a total of 17 Asuka figures were released. One of them is this version in her red and orange test suit. This is the box the figure comes in. As you can see, it's one of those all plastic ones with a large front window. Sides are semi-translucent, only with the Evangelion 2.0 script from the movie, and the backside is heavily stylized with some for the series typical hexagon shapes, red alert color, and the classic Nerf logo. And isn't it weird how good the backside of a figure box can look like if it's not filled to the brim with legal text and warnings? Also, there is this tiny QR code in front, and I wonder what will happen if I scan it. A placeholder site for the Shanghai Character License Administrative. Oh yeah, I forgot, this is produced by a Chinese manufacturer called AniMester, so that might explain it. Front side and back side also features her name, Asuka Shikinami Langley. That can't be real. Huh? That's her name now? What? There are two what? Well, I guess I have a date with a couple of reboot films. See you in a minute. So that's where it's based on. I see. Okay, now that I've watched all of this, I feel a little bit more competent to talk about this figure. So let's unpack her to a familiar tune, shall we? Look at her! Right out of the box you get some nostalgic vibes, but Is this really what you want from a figure that nearly costs 28,000 yen? I mean, in certain areas it looks and feels like nothing much has changed in terms of molding and painting. To better illustrate what I mean, let's remove the additional diorama for a second so that we can purely focus on Asuka alone. Look for example at her strains. If you want a positive spin on them, someone could say they look in period, or if you want to be cynical, almost like the hair strains from an anime figure I had on display some 20 years ago. Also, and I know I usually save the big close-up shot of the character's face for the end, but look at her eyes and tell me that this isn't some very basic craftsmanship in terms of details and coloring. Some of it could be due to the fact that even if this is reboot Asuka, her base design is still an anime girl from the 90s. And in terms of overall details, it also doesn't help much that she is still sporting this red glossy black suit. Yeah, I know it's a special version that is essentially only featured in one scene, but if you show this to someone who is only familiar with the original series, he would think that nothing much has changed. In fact, did you know that this whole orange part is supposed to be semi-translucent? Well, according to the wiki it is, and then the comment of Asuka that the new black suit is a bit too revealing makes much more sense. If I had only this figure as a point of reference, I would say it's just orange. I think this version gets it much better, though it is a 1/4 scale and then of course pretty expensive. Also very old school looking is the base design with the Nerf logo in dark red. It is shaped the way it is to allow it to slide hassle-free into the diorama, and I have to say this is not a bad solution, even if when displayed alone the plate looks a bit odd and unfinished. Almost like a certain other character from the show would belong on the other side. Voiceover 80, please don't give them any crazy ideas, because what's next? Completing this diorama into a full closed gondola? I mean, you wouldn't notice it from the figure alone, but this strange looking ready room is inside a moving gondola, like some sort of ski lift. Sadly, the exterior part of the scene did not transfer over to this release. Instead, we get a rather boring looking backside and a grey steel frame that is holding all the acrylic windows. But on the inside, it's a pretty faithful adaptation that comes with this tote bag on the right side and a couple of personal hygiene clutter completed with her red doll on the left side. The only thing that is strangely missing from this recreation is her cell phone on the table. Don't know why, but would have been nice to see. Even stranger the fact that this control panel in back is just dark grey, when the original from the show is clearly red with a red and blue indicator light on top. I guess this extra level of accuracy you get only if you paint it yourself, or if you buy this crazy expensive version, if she's even real. It feels like the only real star of this whole release is the blast door behind Asuka. Nice details, convincing paint job and pretty much show accurate, if only the whole set was quality like this. I mean, yeah, the mirror element is a nice touch, and if you do photos or look at her from certain ways, you might get some cool looking angles that captures her reflection. Also, the whole cabin feels sturdy and is well put together. But you know, for a person like me who is a crafty guy, a diorama like this is nice to have, but ultimately I'm always telling myself, it is not worth the surcharge and I could have built this myself. Because yeah, there was also a version released that only featured the figure and nothing else. But then you also only have a pretty basic looking Asuka with not much frills. Admittingly, those tiny vents, lines and tubes covering her body are competently executed, and there are small details like this back part with test written on it, or this grey sensor that even features 2 engraved black circles on the top that almost no one will ever notice. Her face is clean but also kinda basic without any prominent features, and the expression is a bit of the meh side. The new interface headsets for the suit are faithful, but as with almost all Eva redesigns, I do prefer the classic style way more. All things considered, together with this large spatial diorama, AniMesters version is still an eye-catcher for your showcase. even if I can't shake the feeling that hardcore fans might have some issues with her because too many questionable decisions have been made, and for just another solid Asuka figure, it's a bit too pricey, because there are plenty of alternatives out there, either for this skin, the classic one, or the brand new one with the eye patch. Just pick a scale, your wallet size, and your showcase might soon be red as you've just annihilated an Angel's core. Well, I guess that's it. By the way, how do you like the new studio? Isn't it great? Admittingly, there are still a couple things missing, like picture frames or cameras and stage audio, but I'm getting there, step by step. Next time, for example, I will challenge this new editing style with my first ever Nendo review in this new format. Until then, thanks so much for watching, take care out there and keep having fun collecting.
Oh, it's German. It's die höchsten Text, Bodycreme, Kamille, mild und beruhigende Pflege.